Morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards, coming to you from rainy Southern California. I mean, it's so nice to say rainy Southern California. The last time we saw rain was uh, some sprinkles on Christmas Eve. And then before that, I don't even remember when the last time we had rain was. So we are thrilled that it's a rainy day here. Delighted that so many of you enjoyed the Sunday conversation yesterday with John Hyatt, where if you missed it, check it out. We talked about runes, which is another tool that you could use for divination. And it was a really good conversation. Have some other great ones coming up. So, if you're looking for something to do on a Sunday, Sunday Conversations is worth your time, I think. So today there are a few things that I thought I would look at. Some of them I've looked at before, some I've not. So I'm just gonna go down my list. So this week we are getting closer looks at two out of the three people I want to talk about who are nominees in 47's administration. So the first person I'd like to look at this morning is Tulsi Gabbard. Remember that she's up for the position of Director of National Intelligence. I have looked at her several times before. Her nomination has been sort of widely understood not to be a shoo-in because of her dubious interactions with Assad, formerly of Syria. And she's changed teams. She was Democratic till she was Republican. She's changed positions. But this is one of the people that 47 is wedded to. He really wants this woman in this position. We can only speculate on why. I'm not going to do that here. But what I do want to do is take a look at how her nomination will go. She's due to have her hearing on Thursday. I suspect that they could vote on her as early as Friday. So this is the last and final look that I will be doing at Tulsi Gabbard's nomination as Director of National Intelligence. She's not old, but she has white in her hair, streak. And so I'm going to use the older woman for her. This is a position of great gravitas that she's being looked at for. And so we will do her the honor of allowing her to be the older woman in the deck. Okay, here we go. How will her nomination go? Remember, we're looking for the older woman. Okay, so for our purposes now, this will stand for Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, I think I might pull a couple of clarifiers, just on the cards that I feel like I want to pull clarifiers on. We have the mountain, we have the scythe, we have Gabbard, we have the ring, and we have the whip. And I think that the whip is the card that I'm going to pull clarifiers for. Because what I will say is, first of all, her nomination vote or hearing even was delayed. That's because supposedly all of her paperwork was not in or in order. So there's already been a delay, but it looks like that delay has been chopped down by the scythe. Um, okay. To the point where a decision can be made. She's in the center. Uh, Now, the ring and the whip. I think that people will go around and around and around on her in an argumentative kind of way about her fitness for this job. Um, I can mirror certain cards. I can mirror the scythe with the ring. Now, it's hard to know. That's why I'm going to pull clarifiers. The scythe is the card for decisions, but the scythe is a card that also cuts. When it was with that mountain, it cut the delay such that now, the hearing is scheduled and will happen. But it can also cut a nomination. The ring just makes me feel like there are things that will come back to bite her in terms of incomplete and unsatisfactory answers that she's given to questions. Uh, and I know that the Democrats will surely hold her feet to the fire, but as we saw with Hegseth, sometimes that doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Okay, so let me pull clarifiers on, I'm going to pull clarifiers on the ring and on the whip. I'll let you watch me do that. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. The ring and the whip. Okay. Oops. Okay. So the clarifiers for the ring are the fox, the clouds, and the house. I mean, what keeps coming back and back and back is she seems shady in the way that a fox is shady. Why did she have that long meeting with Assad? For what? And even her staff can't answer that question, not because they don't want to, but because they don't know either. So she continues to appear shady. Clouds. I mean, there's a lot of doubts about this nominee, um, and where her loyalties lie. Okay, with the whip, we have the rider, we have the stork, and we have the letter. Okay, I think, despite the fact that the hearing will be contentious and her answers unsatisfactory, as is so often the case in these hearings, the message will be sent that I think she'll get through. I think she'll get through. I think that I can mirror this mountain, which is the first card in the original line, with this letter card. Um, it could be another sort of late-ish night, the way that it was with Hegseth, where, as I predicted, Vance would have to come and break a tie. I don't know if that will happen, if a tie will have to be broken, but I'm going to say that I think she gets in. Because again, they have the numbers, we don't. I think she will be confirmed. Okay. The next person that I want to look at, I think he also is scheduled to go before the committee, or at least some of the subcommittees, this week, which is Robert Kennedy. And remember, Robert Kennedy Jr., uh, I remember Lloyd Benson saying to whoever he was running against, you're no John Kennedy. Well, Robert Kennedy Jr. is no Robert Kennedy Sr., that's for sure. But he does come from this storied Democratic family, right? I mean, they are the closest thing we have to political royalty would be the Kennedys. And uh, even though many of his cousins and siblings have come out against his nomination because they think he's a crackpot, which he kind of is. Um, there could well be Republicans who say his last name's what? Oh yeah, no, we're not. No, we can't. We're not going to vote for a Kennedy, even if he's our kind of Kennedy. And what they'll do is they'll try to hang it on the issue of vaccines, because remember, he is also anti-vaccine as we march inexorably into the land of bird flu with no information. But anyway, that's another story. I think this will be the most dubious candidate in terms of will he get in or will he not get in. I predicted that Hegseth would get in, and he will. I mean, he did. I am predicting that Tulsi Gabbard will also get in. Everybody's kissing the ring of the king. But Robert Kennedy Jr., I don't know. So we're going to use the older man card for him because, he's looking pretty road hard and put up wet. And let's see how Robert Kennedy will fare once he is out of committee and about to be voted on. How will his nomination go? Okay. Remember, we're looking for the older man. Here he is. Okay, so this will stand for Robert Kennedy Jr., nominated for Secretary of Health and Human Services. Okay, definitely there are some clarifiers called for. So, but first, let me just say we have the sun, we have the scales, we have Robert Kennedy Jr., we have the fox, and we have the book. Now, remember that one of the things that we can say about the sun, I mean, it's a great card. They say it's the best card in the deck, but remember its function. Its function is to bring light and heat and awareness, to open doors that are closed, to turn on lights in rooms that are dark. So here, the sun is mirrored by this last card, which is the book. The book is about things hidden, things hidden. So I think in his nomination, there will be things that we don't even know yet about him, and we know a lot of bad stuff. But there are still things that will be brought to light about him in these committee hearings. Now, the second card is my scales card. Remember, this is the card that I added to the Lenormand system. And we can mirror it with the fox. The committee's going to have to do this cost-benefit analysis. Are we willing, with everything else that's now been gambled and found to be winning in the 45, 47 column, are we willing to gamble with this guy who's such a wild card, particularly around the area that would be his bailiwick, his purview, his responsibility, which is our health and our safety, health and human services. Are we willing to gamble that with a guy who had, I mean, a worm in his brain? Who has a worm in their brain? Who's got a very big history with drug abuse, who is clearly a transactional guy. When he saw he wasn't going anywhere in the Democratic primary, uh, he said, "Oh, let me go with 45. All right, let's pull some cards on this. Because again, this will be really a Kennedy being approved is a bitter pill to swallow, not just for those of us who think he's a crank and a crook, but for there are Republicans who will find him a bitter pill to swallow. Sometimes some of it just by virtue of him coming from this Democratic dynasty. So let's see. Okay. So we went over the line of five, and now I drew clarifiers on everything. And I also drew a 3-card postscript, sort of any last words on the subject. So here our first card was the sun. Clarifiers for that are the fish, the clouds, and the mountain. And if we think about this spread in a chronological way, which you can, I don't always, but I can here, there's been light shed on the fact that his, I'm going to say, emotional mental health is not the best. Entertainment purposes only. I'm not a clinician, I'm not a therapist, but this is the way it appears. And that will have stood in the way of his smooth sailing into a confirmation. So we have this mountain here. But we move forward in time, and we have the scales, and modified by the stork, the older woman, and the wit. I think that his candidacy will really be weighed. His nomination will be weighed. Uh, um, he will try to make himself look better than he is, because this is the card for positive change. No, I'm not who you think I am. And the worm's dead and long gone. And, I am my father's son, so you can, trust in the genes. He will try to make himself sound better than he is, but he will be taken to task, I suspect, again by Elizabeth Warren. I think she will shred him. I think there are other women on the committee who will shred him, or in the Senate who will shred him. All right, here he is in the center. And again, we're moving chronologically forward now in time. We have the birds, we have the tree, we have the dog. Now, this for once is not 45 or 47, and this is Robert Kennedy Jr., who will have spent a lot of time schmoozing the committee members and the other senators who will vote as en masse, schmoozing them, saying, I'm all about health and you can trust me, the dog, trustworthy card. I really care about American health and safety. That is the message that he will be trying to give in these meetings that he's currently having. Now we move forward into what will happen. The fox is our fourth card, and it's clarified by Clover, Crossroads, and Bear. Hmm. Again, the Fox is a tricky card. Uh, Robert Kennedy, uh, as I remember, originally in his career did really great work as a lawyer in the area of climate climate issues. So he had some good instincts around that. This is a card, Clover. It's a lucky card. It's also a quick card, though. And then we have this Crossroads card, and the Crossroads is about choices. If he looks too problematic, 47 could decide to go another way. Like the nomination could be scuttled in advance of a vote, and 47 could just say, listen, Bobby, back down, because this is not going to work. I'm going to go with someone else. But really, we know that 45 is wedded to Kennedy. He really wants Kennedy. Hmm. All right. And then the last card in our original line is this very, very unsatisfactory book card. It's about things that are hidden, things that we don't know. And the clarifiers for that are the ring, the star, and the house. I don't really love the ring here because it's making me think that one more time, 45 gets what he wants. And then I always draw in this spread, which is my 23 card spread, I always draw a final three cards that serve as a postscript. Is there anything else that I can tell you about this? So we have um, the mice, we have the letter, and we have the young woman. Uh, we already know there have been lots of issues around him and women. Uh, there may be more reports that come out about his bad dealings with women. But as we see in this administration from the very top, that doesn't seem to matter, does it? That's not a disqualifier. I can mirror, unfortunately, the sun and this last clarifier, the house. I think he could get through. I think he could get through. I may look at him one more time because I don't think he's going to be voted on this week. Um, if he is voted on this week, then I'll let my answer stand. But if not, if it's going to be postponed till next week, I'll look at him again. But as it stands, it just seems like the momentum will continue to be in 47's favor, and he will get the cabinet that he wants. Now, the scariest person, or maybe, I don't know, they're all kind of scary. But the last one that I want to give a quick look at, and I will look at him again another time too, but I just want to look now just to see if the energy's changed, is I want to look at Kash Patel. Kash Patel is nominated for head of the FBI. He would be taking Chris Wray's place. Chris Wray, of course, was nominated by 45 when he was 45, but Chris Wray was not rah-rah enough for 45. And so he has resigned because had he not resigned, he would have been fired. Kash Patel is the ultimate flunky and water carrier for 47, entertainment purposes only. He even has an enemies list. I mean, that's not good. for the head of the FBI to have an enemies list, and the enemies are the enemies of 47. So Kash Patel, he's quite the zealot. He wrote a children's book where the hero is King Donald, and everyone is meant to pay homage to King Donald, and that is there is like zero irony in that book. It's he is a Kash Patel is a 47 acolyte. He's a young guy, so I'm going to use, and he's also, I mean, he likes to lead the charge for 45, 47, whatever. So I'm going to use the young man for him, and I want to look at his nomination for FBI director. So remember, we're looking for the young man that will stand for Kash Patel. Okay, so here's Kash Patel. And again, his nomination has also been mired in controversy, which why these initial cards make sense. We have the coffin, we have the anchor. These are very weighed down, heavy cards. No wonder he's among the last on the list to be looked at. There he is. We have the dog and we have the heart. He is the ultimate loyalist, and he loves him some 47. Okay, so I'm going to pull clarifiers on the last three cards. I mean, we know he's a loyalist. That doesn't speak to whether he gets in or not, right? So let's look. So I drew clarifiers on Patel himself. We have the star, the sun, and the house. Uh, Even before I get to the rest of the cards, I suspect he will get in. Here he is, this loyalist, committed, will do stuff fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry, the way 45 wants things done. Including to seeing who on the enemies list did not get a pardon from Biden so that they can go after them, the FBI. Then we have this heart, and the clarifiers are birds, book, and fish. Okay. He also is meeting with people and saying, I'm your guy, you can trust me with the FBI, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that we don't know about him, that the committee doesn't know about him. But I will say that money talks. Money talks. This is the card for money. Now, I can mirror that first card in the line, the original line, with the fish. And I'm going to say that this is not him being dead in the water the way some people might want me to read it. No, I think this is the FBI, for all its faults, will be further transformed and even worse under Patel, because he is a zealot. He is a zealot, and he will use this organization to go after anyone who, large or small, who opposes his beloved 47. This is the card for emotion as well. He is a zealot. So the FBI will be transformed, I would suggest, back to what it was during J. Edgar Hoover. And we all know, well, maybe we don't all know, but J. Edgar Hoover had an enemies list too, and there were people on it like, oh, I don't know, Martin Luther King. Just saying. So yeah, you know what? In for a penny, in for a pound. We are in for it. And so, to those of you wanting a silver lining, we'll have to start weaving our own, because it will not come from any sort of external place. We will not be saved from a Patel as head of the FBI. We will not be saved from a Kennedy as Secretary of Health and Human Services. We will not be saved from a Gabbard as director of national intelligence. I think they're all going to get in. There will be a good show put on by the Democrats, who will do their level best to kick and scream about this. But in the end, it's a numbers game. And in the end, 47 looks like he gets what he wants. This is a hard lesson we're learning, but apparently it's necessary. If it weren't necessary, then the vote would have gone another way. I'm just saying. Okay, I want to do something a little bit philosophical for a second. And I want to look at, I want to address the fact that today is the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the death camp. There are currently still a couple of thousand survivors still alive who were liberated from that camp. And so, it's worth taking a moment and reflecting on the horrors that were uncovered there. But I also think that it's appropriate and seemly to draw comparisons to today. I think that Israel learned a lot of lessons from the experience of Jews during the Holocaust. One of the lessons was, this will never happen again. And they move from that place. I think that's understandable. But I think another lesson that they learned was to employ tactics that were used against them, against people whom they feel they have a right to oppress. And I say this because currently Gazans who are trying to return to their homeland in this supposed peace deal. But in the end, though, apparently the master plan is to exile those Gazans to places like, I don't know, Egypt, Libya, who have not said, oh, yeah, come here, any more than the Gazans have said, oh, yeah, we'd like to go there. The Gazans would like to go home. But as we heard Jared Kushner say, that land in Gaza would be primo beachfront property to develop. And 47's all in favor of that. So people will be displaced. If they won't go, they'll be forcibly displaced, killed, contained, because Israel doesn't care. The one lesson Israel did not learn is mercy. Another lesson that Israel did not learn is that when oppressed people become oppressors, they are now oppressors. and they can't hearken back to their oppressed past in order to gain support for actions that are ultimately, and I stand by this, as genocidal as the ones that they themselves experienced. So that's my stance. You can agree, disagree, but that's what I think. As a Black person who understands empirically and historically and generationally and epigenetically about the nature of oppression, we Black people will always stand with the oppressed. And that means on the side of certainly the hostages that were taken by Hamas, the Jewish hostages that were taken by Hamas, but it also means to stand with the Gazans. So I guess I want to look at this. I wanted this not to be just my opinion. I wanted to look at the future of Gaza. Gaza is a territory, so I'm going to use the garden, and the garden will stand for Gaza, and I want to look at what will happen in Gaza. We're looking for the garden. There it is. Okay. So we have the fish, we have the bear, we have the garden that stands for Gaza, we have the older woman, and we have the dog. And I'm going to pull cards on the last three of those cards because I already know what the first two are about. Hold on, I got the heater on. Oh, and after all that rain, now it's sunny here, as it usually is. So I want to say the first card was fish, second card was 47. This is a money thing. So 47 and his son-in-law and whomever else will be partnering together to make money off of this beachfront property that is the homeland of Gaza. It's a money thing. Now, the third card in the center, of course, was the card that I designated to be Gaza. And I drew clarifiers. So we have the child, we have the mice, and we have the moon. So Gaza will be diminished, will be broken up, made less than what it was, which was the homeland of the people there. And we'll take on this new identity as, what are they going to call it? I don't know, probably like the Mediterranean, Middle East Mediterranean or something, right? So it is broken up and diminished and then built up again as the Middle East Riviera. Yeah, Riviera. That's what I meant to say, not Mediterranean, Riviera. Next card is this woman card, and we have the sun, the clouds, and the heart. Now, because I think that the image or the impression that Israel and the United States will want to give is, this is really a good thing. This is good. Everybody will have their little place that they can live. The Gazans won't live in Gaza, but that's just a minor, detail. This is really good. Think about, come vacation here, come make money here. But really, it's not about love of the people or the place. So it's not. It's a money-making opportunity. Those who ally with Israel, the United States, will sort of benefit from Gaza as a reward, as a gift. And moving forward into the future, you're meant to believe that this will be an improvement. Well, I mean, it'll be an improvement on a war-torn wasteland. That part's true. But it will become beachfront real estate. And the people who lived there will no longer be the people who lived there. Because money is the bottom line here. It'll be win, 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 win for everybody but the Gazans. Uh, I have a couple of other issues, but I think this has gone long enough and I will save them for another day. But I thought I would do something a little more upbeat. I know nothing about football. I mean, I was married to a guy who coached football his whole life, up until he died. And so he was a football fan. There was always football on in my house. But I mean, I've never been a rabid follower, but nevertheless, we are approaching the Super Bowl, which will be February 9th. And the contest will be between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I just thought I would see, who's going to win. I listen, entertainment purposes only. I am not your bookie any more than I am your doctor, your lawyer, or your financial advisor. But I don't know, I'm pretty accurate, right? So I don't know which team is considered to have the edge. But let's look and see. So the first three cards I pull will be for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the bottom three cards I pull will be for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. So this is for the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is for the Philadelphia Eagles. Chiefs have the crossroads, the sun, and the clouds. The Eagles have the snake, the fox, and the fish. Interesting. I think these are, I don't know. I would assume, because otherwise, how would they get there? That these are well-matched teams. Um, I think it looks like it'll be a good game. I think that it'll be a lot of back and forth, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Crossroads, sun, clouds. And I know the clouds are at the end of the line, but still, I'm still going to go with the Chiefs because the sun is in the line. Uh, again, the who's winning could go back and forth, but any line that has the sun in it is a good line. And as a rule, unless this card represents a clever woman, which, only one time out of 10 it will, whenever we have the snake, so this is the Philadelphia Eagles. We have the snake, the fox, and the fish. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, don't go by what I say. It's just for fun. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm not right, oh well. Good for the Eagles then. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. There are other interesting questions to look at, but as always, of course, right? But I will look at those another day this week. All right, thanks a lot. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care.